Hello, adventurers. My name's Tyler.
And I'm Richard.
On today's episode, we're going to talk about DM's Guild and a tale of two fishies. Welcome to True Strike.
Howdy, folks, and welcome back to the show. Today we are talking about Dungeon Masters Guild and our experience with one of the adventures that we had using it. So yeah, if you haven't heard of Dungeon Masters Guild yet, that's what we're here to talk about. So what is DM's Guild, Tyler?
Well, first off, just a brief history on what DM's Guild is. Back in 2016, so this is after the launch of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, Wizards really wanted to have a way for the community to be able to release content legally and be able to actually use, copyright and stuff like Strahd, for example, or the Xanathar, and use things that they owned. So they created this thing in partnership with One Bookshelf that would allow both people to do that and Wizards to still make a cut. And it's a nice little clean space that you can upload your content and charge what you want. People go on there, they pay whatever the fee is, and then everybody makes a little bit of money. You get a PDF document or sometimes print and play of whatever you purchased. So, like I said, back in 2016, One Bookshelf partners with Wizards of the Coast, and they launched the DM's Guild. Now, straight from Wikipedia, what is One Bookshelf, you might be asking? All right, One Bookshelf is a digital marketplace company for both major and indie games, fiction, and comics. One Bookshelf was formed by the merger of RPG Now and DriveThruRPG. You may know those. DriveThruRPG, I'm definitely familiar with. The community's e-commerce platforms host content from individual sellers, indie creators, and major publishing companies such as Chaosism, Fantasy Flight Games, White Wolf, and Wizards of the Coast. In July 2022, it was announced that Roll20 will merge with One Bookshelf to become a new company. Ooh, I guess we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, that's the base of it. It's just a site that allows content creators, you and me, the peoples, anyone who wants to go on and make, essentially as close as you can get to official product.
Yeah.
Sanctioned products, and everybody gets a little piece of the pie, and you sell your product on the website dmsguild.com.
Yeah, and what I think is really cool about this is that if you go to the website itself and you start to look through what's here, immediately a lot of people will just assume that this is, a place for people to upload their homebrew campaigns and stuff like that, which are all, original content that are just using, parts of the IP from whatever you're dealing with. But it actually goes a lot deeper than that and a lot cooler than that. You kind of touched on that when you mentioned Strahd, because this is a place where you can go and find stuff that fits into campaign settings that you're already actually running.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like sections of this that are devoted to specific campaign settings like Candlekeep Mysteries and Tomb of Annihilation, Dragon Heist, and stuff like Curse of Strahd. So if you want to start off your players in a specific universe that you're, planning on going into, and you want something short and different that's not a standardized module, you can come here and you can look for these specific settings and find stuff that fits what you're looking for. And the prices on this are all incredibly reasonable. They run the gamut from like as cheap as just a couple of dollars, to get yourself started. And the value in what you're getting in some of these is absolutely insane when you look at what you're getting. So like some of these little modules that you're running can be a one shot, can be a two shot. We're talking like less than a sandwich at like Starbucks, and you get maps that you can print out, you get stat blocks, you get entire settings and entire campaign openers essentially.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. There's a lot of really neat stuff on here, and you could literally spend hours just browsing through content that other people have uploaded.
Easily. There's so much on there. A lot of good things. I've purchased quite a few supplements and stuff like that. Never any full campaigns or anything yet. We're still working through, licensed modules, and then we're working on our own homebrew campaign as well. But even the supplemental stuff is really great. And the rating system is wonderful. The community on there is wonderful. Everybody's very active, including the authors of this material. And they're really good at getting into the comments and having discussions with people either running it or just wondering, asking questions out there. And that's actually how I stumbled upon A Tale of Two Fishies, which is a one-shot or supplemental bit you can add into the middle of the campaign Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Now, this is a 61-page thing. This is 61 pages written by authors, and please forgive me for any name butchering. I think I'm gonna try my best. Why Michael Zung and Richard Gaji. They wrote what I thought was a wonderful, funny, easy to run, very comprehensive one shot, which is the way we used it, sort of. In fact, we intend to, at some point, running Waterdeep Dragon Heist. And in this, they give advice. There's a column in there. They give advice on how to set this up if you are going to use it as an introduction, if you're going to throw it partway through a campaign, if you're going to run it as a one-shot, and different ways to leverage characters to make that happen. Well, we figured let's use this as a way to introduce characters to this campaign. So one day we will revisit these characters and actually start Waterdeep Dragon Heist proper. But in the meantime, we got to have a few, good laughs, been a few hours with a good friend of ours, and we all, I don't know, I think it was a good time. From my side of the screen, it was very enjoyable.
No, it was great. And I think that right there, you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said that the designers of this were able to come in and give you these ideas on how to implement it, like where you're going to put it in the, in the timeline of whether or not you're going to run Dragon Heist, if you're going to do it before, if you're going to do it in the middle, or how you're going to use it, which I think is really interesting with Dungeon Masters Guild as a contrast to official modules, right? So when you're looking at official modules, even smaller ones, it's a lot more stringent form factor. You know what you're getting into, you know what you're going to be doing, right? Unless you're just using it to world build. If you're running the module, you're running the module. I think that that's one of the strengths of Dungeon Masters Guild is that, one, you have these smaller bite-sized things, or they can be, that are easier to insert in places like this. But like you had mentioned before, you have more of an interaction with the developers of it. Mm-hmm. Because these are people that can do that, right?
Yes,
because
yeah.
We're not talking about this massive design team back at WotC headquarters, that are working to create these modules. They don't have time to talk to us. They don't have time to post on the forums and stuff like that. You're dealing with people that are doing this for fun. So this is a labor of love for a lot of these people that are designing these modules. And a lot of them are very open to discussion. So, if something seems off and needs to be changed or something like that, or they have a lot more suggestions and different ways that you can utilize these smaller bite-sized things. So I think it's very unique in comparison to more official modules and not that expensive in the long run of things.
No, this was $5.99 for the PDF. That included a couple different packets. One, you get like the actual mini module itself, but you also included one of the PDFs was player classes and stuff like that. We didn't touch on that at all, but it is there. It's supplemental information and stuff you can use if you wish to. Now, the summary from DM's Guild for this is that it's Waterdeep, A Tale of Two Fishies. It's a comedic heist adventure to steal the Xanathar's goldfish Silgar from right under the beholder's eyes. It's a 5-hour adventure for 1st to 4th level characters. Great. That does sum it up. Like I said, it's very well reviewed. It even has a seal of the platinum bestseller on DM's Guild, which great way. You can go through the site and just find things marked with that, and boom, you're good to go.
Yeah, if you're looking at something that's already highly reviewed.
Yes. And I like I said, I had a great time. The biggest thing here was that these authors spoke directly to you, the Dungeon Master, through a lot of it. And I wish that WotC did that more. Much more. I wish this was the thing they did in modules, because At every turn, they would say, okay, are your players levels 1 to 3? Are they, are they 4 to 6? Are they higher level? Like, okay, if so, here's the encounter. Oh, they're lower level. Remove 2 of the captains from this fight and make it to where it's a D4 for the damage for this. Oh, they're higher level. Include this. In every scenario, shows you the different versions of that fight, of that encounter. And anytime there was a puzzle or an encounter or anything like that, it was hand drawn, but they included hand drawn maps of everything. That was very helpful. And it was a lot for $6. We literally did play this for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, no, it was a 4 or 5 hour game.
And some of the really cool supplemental information, because there was pages in there where it would say, print these and have them ready to hand out to your players. Just to skip ahead a little bit, I think we'll do like a brief summary. There's one bit where the players actually get an opportunity to split off and gather information and track down other NPCs individually, and they're all given a paper full of information, really, that like one of the my NPCs gets on these other ones, and it's like, all right, pick your target based on this information and do it as you will. And then they can go around, they can spend some time gathering more information on these people if they so choose, and like, what's the best way? Do you want to go to the bar and keep your ear to the ground? Do you want to go to the library and research this person because they're notorious and you want to grab some history on them? Oh, do you know the family and you want to try to like get in good with one of their friends to try to pick up some information? You can do that, and then you make a check, and if you do so, guess what? Me, the dungeon master, I have 2 more layers of potential information I can hand out to the players that can completely change what they will do on when it gets to their turn to actually go after this other character. I thought it was neat.
Yeah, it was definitely unexpected, right? Because I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons a lot, and this module reminded me of what I miss about certain D&D games, right? Which is more interactivity, and it's simple stuff. Like, it's really, really simple stuff. And I think it's really easy for larger modules to kind of lose touch of this, because they're building an experience that is massive, that's going to take you through 1 all the way up to like 12 in the average, or even higher in some modules designs,
right?
And they're outside of like Beetle and Grimm style stuff, right, where they're giving you all this extra stuff that you're going to hand out to your players and everything like that, but usually that has a very high dollar cap, and they're giving you very premium items to hand out to these players.
Oh yeah, this was straight up print and play, like from
and even then, when you hand these things across the table, you're all like, here's this note dropped by this NPC. This module was $400. Please do not spill your soda on this note. Please put the Mountain Dew down before I hand you this prop.
Don't open the monster right now.
Yeah, so now you're looking at something like this, which was $6, print and play, right? So you're printing out, you're printing out these paper sheets, you're cutting them up in these little bits and handing them out to us based on the checks. So, like, I'm sitting over here, I do horrible, I get no piece of paper. Our friend across from us rolls amazingly, nat 20. He gets like 4 pieces of paper.
He got an additional 2.
I got nothing. I get nothing from this.
Right.
He's got little pieces of paper, and he's reading. He's reading a novel over there that's telling him what to do, and I'm getting nothing.
And
it was hilarious.
And when it came time to pursue these NPCs, you each use the knowledge you had gathered.
Yes, yeah.
And it's funny how it played out perfectly, because you go into your scenario with little information, and oh man, you literally walk in the room like, what am I gonna do? He walks in and is like, yo, I'm from this one place, I know this one thing, you should probably go. And they're like, oh, okay, and they're gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
And it's, like I said, it's interesting because this all stemmed from this mini game almost of being able to get this information and come out. And it seems like in a module like this, it's a lot more personal, or can be.
Sure.
Because this is somebody who is designing this, 1 or 2 people, maybe, more if it's a larger bit or something like that. I don't know if they can afford to be more personal, and they can afford to experiment more.
Absolutely.
Than
Yeah.
a company like WotC, right?
Like I said, the map is like colored pencil and stuff, and it's still perfect. It's all I need.
And it's great. When like you release a module from Wizards of the Coast, something like Strahd, right? They have to go through all this internal testing and everything like that, and then they release it. Now it's in the masses. Everybody's buying it. It's a done deal. So if there's something weird in there, it's in there in print in perpetuity until they reprint it, right?
And they do an errata and change
And then
it.
you have something like this, Dungeon Masters Guild. And you can go down here. If you look up Tale of Two Fishies on here, you can actually see at the bottom of the page the change log, because it's gone through revisions and fixes, because they will play test this. You know, it's been out for many years now at this point, this specific module, and they've been able to look at it and make changes and make additions as they go. So it's almost like a living entity. The longer that it's out, the better it's going to be for it if any changes need to be made, because the community is there playing it, talking to the developers, and they can do stuff like this. So what you end up with is something that is way more, it feels way more personal than a standard module, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And when I played it, like I said, we started doing all these things, and we started getting more stuff from you than, you know, we're used to seeing in a standard module and any previous games. We're getting more things. Like you search a body and you're like, oh, you did search that body. What was your role? And I was like, okay, it was this. And he's like, oh, it was here. And you handed me a whole piece of paper with all this crazy information on it for trying to solve a puzzle.
Yeah.
Which that is so cool that it's just print and play, and it costs you, you know, $6 for the actual module, and then, like you said, 10 cents for the paper and ink to print out these things that make it that much more interactive.
And it's not Beetle and Grimm. You're not over there comparing handwriting on, like, you could tell this note actually was crumbled into a ball. Like, you know, that's not what's happening. But
could you? I think you could. I think you look deep enough, you're gonna find some really good print and play stuff on
for
here
sure.
that is super engaging.
But my printer is trash.
Well, okay, yeah, but still, I mean, a good printer these days, it's not that much. I mean, you can buy a brand new printer and a bunch of modules for less than you'll pay for a Beetle and Grimm.
Sure.
I'm not trying to bad talk Beetle and Grimm's here.
it's
That
wonderful.
stuff is amazing. It's like simply amazing.
Best you can get.
But it is based off of standard modules, which have those limitations.
Man, I would love to see the $50 Beetle and Grimm version of this module, this mini module.
Oh, it would be amazing.
That'd be so fun.
Yeah, it would be great.
God, I wish they could do something like
It
that.
would be really, really neat. I think that's man. I would kickstart that.
A $200 bundle with 4 mini modules. Oh God, that'd be wonderful.
I would kickstart that. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of what I think the main strength is of Dungeon Masters Guild, is that it's a place where you can go. You can even put in your price range. So you're a DM on a budget, right? You're all like, I want to do a one shot.
Sure, yeah.
I've got $4 and I want a one shot that I want to run, and all I have is $4 to my name. I need this by next weekend.
It'll be well spent.
You can go in, put your range from $1 to $4, and you will find yourself a module on here that you're gonna want to run. That's gonna be fun for all your players.
There's free supplements on here too. Like, you're going to find cool stuff, and every once in, like, WotC has put out official products on here.
Yeah.
100%, and they're print and play. There was a Minsk and Boo, I forget what it was called. I remember seeing it like a year ago. There was a little supplemental thing they put out, and it was like $30 print and play. That was the way to get it. But yeah, neat.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And if you're the type of person that uses Roll20, now we also have additional functionality there.
Yep.
So you can come in here and you can pick up stuff that is going to work with Roll20 and have even more integration in there. Or if you're, like I said, the DM on a budget, stick with the print and play stuff.
Yeah.
And come up with some really cool stuff.
So, oh God, and I mean, really anything you can think of. You want a female Strahd? Guess what? There's supplement for that.
Oh yeah, we didn't really even touch on that, which is changes to modules.
Yep.
Yeah. So in here you can find stuff like that where you can change modules to better fit what you're looking for.
Exactly. So many things. But to give a spoiler-filled, light summary of our fun time at the table this, past weekend. Tale of Two Fishies.
Yeah. So like you said, originally we were gonna run a dragon heist.
Yeah. So our grand plan here was to get together for the weekend and to knock out Waterdeep Dragon Heist in 2 like 12-hour sittings.
Yeah.
And just make a weekend of it.
We
And
were
that
just
was
going to
it.
steamroll Dragon
Yep.
Heist.
And because of time constraints, it became 1 10-hour session. And that became the plan. And the more I prepped and the more I got into it, I was just like, I would have to cut out too many cool things to really make this happen and not just be pushing my players down a narrow alley to the next objective every time they stop to have a conversation.
Yeah, you didn't want to have to blow the railroad whistle every time we started to go a little bit off course.
Do I think he has a no, just keep going.
No, you don't. Nope.
I'll let you know when they have something to loot.
I checked your passives. I know exactly what you know.
You're right.
You know nothing. Keep walking down the street.
Yep. So I was looking up supplemental things in the Waterdeep Dragon Heist vein, and I stumbled across this. Waterdeep Tale of Two Fishies. And I was like, okay, this sounds fun to like throw in there. And from the reviews, this seems like people had a great time. Oh, the author actually responded to a comment and mentioned what levels it'd be good to have this at if you were using it as an introduction to, Dragon Heist. Oh, that would be perfect. Levels 1 for the first couple. Okay, and then this chapter you switch to level 2, and then you start Waterdeep Dragon Heist at level 3, and then at the end it even has notes like, all right, if you've introduced your characters via this way, then these NPCs from the main module know this about your characters, and these events will happen to bring back things that happened in this mini module. And I'm like, that's awesome. Now we can still get together. We can play some board games, to pad out the rest of the day. We still get to hang out. We still get to play Dungeons & Dragons. We still get to make our characters for this full campaign. We just get to start it a little, get our feet wet a little bit instead of full dive. Save the full game for another time. And 5-hour wonderful one-shot.
Yeah, and we also, like you said, end up with these characters that we're going to go into Dragon Heist with that have just that, more character.
Yeah.
Because we've had things happen in this game and it's solidified us more as a party.
Yep.
And kind of split the party, sort of, which we'll get to, but also solidified us as a working unit and a reason to be there and a reason to do stuff. And if nothing else sells you on A Tale of Two Fishies, I think that the opening description would probably do it. And I do want to read it real quick.
Go ahead.
I love it.
Please.
And it says, which you already read the first part of this, which is, this is a 5-hour adventure for 1st to 4th level characters. But this is where it really gets you. This is the hook. When playing this adventure, expect to encounter any of the following. 1, a talking goldfish, a table-flipping bugbear, a gnome with ichthyophobia, robot beholders, a disco dance floor, a giant slot machine, a book titled Wizardry for Dummies, and a chance to steal from a laundry list of magical artifacts out of Xanathar's personal treasury.
You guys encountered almost all of those, except I think 2.
Almost all of those, yes. And that's what I say. This is a really great thing. I mean, like, you had me at talking goldfish.
Right.
Right off the jump. I was like, yep, talking goldfish. This is perfect. But yeah, everything on there just screams, please play this.
I'm glad that was enough. But to get us through this, at the start, welcome to Waterdeep. All of you have been arrested for one reason or another. I actually had you guys, as part of your character description, tell me why you were in jail and why you were arrested. Then you were put together in some sort of Suicide Squad adjacent thing. You had arcane runes on your necks that could, be used to explode your head off your shoulders at any moment. We got to get you in the story.
It worked.
We had already lost an hour of our 5 hours, so we had to push this into 4. We had to go.
Yeah, no, we did. We had to kind of speed things up just a little bit, just because we were under a time crunch.
Look, y'all, we were playing Muffin Time, and it went on a little longer than we expected. It was wonderful. Great time. But we had a little bit of time crunch.
Yeah, that game, when you get ultra competitive, can take a lot longer than you think.
Competitive Muffin Time.
Yeah, competitive Muffin Time gets stressful.
So then you all, head to a dock. You meet up with a lady, and you're all like, yo, we're here. And she's like, yo, act cool. We've got to act like we're on the Xanathar Guild's side and they're stealing some stuff. Now, careful, the City Watch is going to come. Try not to kill any of them, but make it look cool. And you guys did.
Yeah.
For the most part.
For the most part.
Listen to her. You did the cool, you especially. You were the only one that actually listened to me. And you went to do your green flame blade and did
well, you said make it look cool.
Yeah, you did. You were the only one that paid attention. You did like a flourish and a twirl before like wiping the floor with one. And it was really neat. And then, you know, some people died and that was docked from your pay. And either way, you guys did it. You look cool. You take care of this City Watch. Most of them flee anyway. And you go down this sewer system and you're following and you end up meeting a team leader, basically the second in command of the Xanathar Guild. And he's like, oh yeah, you know, you're right. Your team, it's pretty good. I like your stuff. Now I know you wanted your team to be the ones to pull off this operation. The operation, of course, being that every so many years, you know, goldfish only live so long, and the Xanathar had the best friend in the whole world, Silgar the goldfish. And they have to sneak in while he's asleep every once in a while and swap out the goldfish with a very similar looking goldfish. And so far, for hundreds of years, Xanathar has been none the wiser. Well, knowing that Xanathar's up to no good, the Harpers and City Watch make a plan to swap out an inside fish. So
enter the talking goldfish.
Yeah, Finn, the talking goldfish. And you're part of this ragtag team to make this happen. Well, we've already chosen the Gargoyle Gang. It's not going to be your team. Sorry. All right. Split off from there, and she's like, okay. And this is where that list came into play. She's like, all right, I've compiled all this information on the Gargoyle Gang. We've got to make sure that they're unable to do this mission. You do whatever you got to do. Right? To you take them out, convince them not to do it, whatever you got to do to make sure that by tomorrow we're the only team, like we're the next in line to go. So you do. I hand you guys a piece of paper.
Yeah, this was our first handout.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was our first handout, which gave us a list of the other gang. And basically our little ragtag team of 4 had to pick, each one of us had to pick another member of that gang that we were going to attempt to distract or basically remove from the equation so that we could get the other team gone. Mm-hmm. And this is where things really started to go, because this was our first actual thing that we were doing, which was what I kind of alluded to before, where I got absolutely no intel on my person at all, which I was super excited for, because I was like, oh, there's a gambling person on here. That's easy. I'm going to figure out what game they're good at, and I'm going to gain proficiency in whatever materials that I need to do that, because I was playing somebody who at long rest was able to change their proficiencies, and Haldarin actually. And I thought that was going to be easy. I thought we got this. I ended up getting no intel on my person whatsoever. I got no papers. Everybody else in the party actually did get information. Some of us more than others.
Wild, because I believe it was an 11 to get more info and then a 16 to get the double more info.
Yeah.
And most of you didn't hit the 11.
Nope. Yeah, I didn't get anything, but that didn't make it any less fun. It was interesting because we legit had one party member that had probably the quickest encounter with their NPC that we had over the entire thing. I think I was probably not the longest. I was like second longest in mine. The monk, however...
Oh, you were second shortest.
Was I second shortest?
Sure.
Okay. Well, the monk walked up and literally was all like, hey, I think, I know your parents are you're looking for, your dad. I think I know where he is. This is where he is. And she was all like, bet, I'm leaving. I want you to tell my boss that I'm doing this job, that I'm gone. And I'm leaving.
That sums it up.
And then walked away. It was
sort of short version, but that sums it up.
It was so easy. Sort of short. It was very short. He barely said like 3 sentences to this woman. And she left town.
Well, it was great because it was our associate from work, and he was over here, and he's like, leans over and he's like, would I know the town close by? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It's this one. He's like, okay, cool. Hi, I've been sent by your father. And she's like, no, you have not. I don't have a father. And he's like, from a town across, town next door. His name's this. And she's like, oh no. Like, all right, make a roll, convince her. And he rolls very well. And she's like, Papa.
Yep.
And
Actually,
leaves town.
That was that was one of his many nat 20s the evening.
That's so good.
Because his rolls
so good
were
with dice.
on fire that night.
Always are.
Yeah. So I guess mine was the second shortest, in which I basically was trying to convince a gambling man to gamble away his time in town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which wasn't going well for me. Ended up having to try and use Mage Hand to distract him so that I could charm him and make him my best friend, so that I could, my plan was to force him to play the game that I wanted to play so that I could get him to leave town, which was a really great plan, which ended up just going the easier route, which is just paying him to make him leave town. No gaming was actually necessary at that point.
Yeah.
I did lose every single bit of money that I had because I did still gamble.
Right. Yep.
And I lost horribly, even with being good at cards. Still didn't work out in my favor. I probably could have made that a lot quicker had I just waltzed right up to him, slapped down some gold on the table, and been all like, hey, will you please just leave town? If I give you all this money.
If you had gotten more information, may have been what you chose to do.
Yeah.
Once you had learned that Sloth was incredibly lazy and would literally rather do anything else other than work.
Yeah.
But does so out of the need of coin.
No, I tried to make him my best friend. Just to make him want to play cards with me, just so that I could beat him in cards on a bet that he would leave town if he lost.
Yeah.
The overcomplication at its best. Yeah. Which I say that, but then we had another character.
Oh my gosh.
Who had to go for a woman at a noble estate to try and get her to leave town, which I'm not even sure how we got to the point at which she changed shape to be a younger woman that was at the party, ended up stabbing this other woman through the throat before hurtling herself over a balcony down to the ground and almost dying.
Doesn't accomplish her goal either.
Didn't accomplish her goal.
Did not remove this person from the equation because they
were able to be healed.
Yeah, there was canonically a medic.
Yeah, canonically a medic standing right there. Yeah. And at the end of the night, there was that was weird. That the woman, that little girl just came out of nowhere, stole my rapier, stabbed that other girl in the throat, and then ran away.
Yep.
It was definitely something. Yeah. But it was hilarious.
It was amazing.
It was basically one shocked face around the whole group after another. We're like, you're doing what now?
It was the Zootopia D&D meme of
the
rogue wants to do this, the DM smirking, and all the other players shocked.
Like it can't get any worse, right? You're gonna what with the rapier in the throat? You roll the what now? Okay,
you're gonna hurl yourself off the balcony again?
You know that's far down, right? Okay, yeah.
You also have no clothing.
Yeah, ended the night with no clothing.
Or gear, or...
all gear gone, yeah. So that was interesting.
Good times.
Yeah. And then we had another party member who, I think did he have the most hints about the art dealer?
I don't remember.
I remember him having like 3 sheets of paper.
I know he at least had one.
It was more than one.
Well, more than I know he had one bonus.
Okay.
I remember. I believe our associate from work had the most.
Okay, so that means that he had at least 2, which also turned into didn't
follow that at all.
So yeah,
at all.
I didn't really get any intel on that, how closely he followed his hints.
So
it sounded like he knew what was going on.
I'm gonna let you know how this was supposed to go. He was supposed to go in and be like, hey, I have intel that this NPC really wants to paint, really loves painting, and wants to paint an exotic creature. And if you go in and you're an exotic, player species, you could just be like, paint me, you know, and Titanic style, and
Paint me like one of your French tieflings.
and be like, oh, I'll let you pay me, and you don't go to that thing later. And they're like, okay, yeah, bet. Or you can make that happen, figure out a way to make a deal to make this happen, and you could set this up, and easy peasy, good to go. It's not how it went.
No, it went so many different ways and ended in a semi-hostage situation.
It's a PG podcast, so we can't get into everything.
Yeah, we can't really go into the details, but yeah, it did. It kind of was a hostage situation / just knocking people out, tying them up, buying out the inn, so that nobody would find them tied against bedposts.
Yeah. We'll see if this ever comes up again.
Yeah, I can. I think that's one of the funniest things about this being where we started this is there are so many ways for what we did that night before the actual heist can come back on us.
To haunt you when they discover
so many ways
the people
to haunt us down the way, which I am so excited for. So excited for. But long story short, we finished off enough. I say finished off, but we distracted enough of the team members that evening for us to be able to move forward with the heist as the chosen group. So we were able to regroup the next day. We were able to get our talking fish on the inside and basically get our marching orders to infiltrate Xanathar's palace to do the fish swap.
Yep, you're given an awakened goldfish named Finn, and you carry him around in a little enchanted goldfish bowl, like in your backpack.
Yeah, so we slapped that on the frog monk because we figured he would be the best to carry it.
Playing a grung and a monk named Grunk.
Grunk, yeah. Yeah, which I guess we didn't really cover that. So we have the monk, the grung named Grunk.
Yep.
We had me, who was an Eldarin named Evan, who was basically a wizard, which, was a protester. I did him kind of like a hippie guy. And then we also had Cho and August.
Yep. Cho was playing a cleric, and August was a changeling paladin.
Yeah. So we had a pretty decent party comp, actually. It wasn't bad, actually. It was pretty good. So it was pretty good start into the adventure. We got into the actual palace, and that's when things started to get a little bit crazy. And this is where we see our robot beholders.
You say palace, I say more of like lair and a dungeon.
Yeah, palace, strong. I mean, how many rooms total did we go through?
4?
To get to the treasury. I think it was 4 rooms. Yeah.
It was 4.
Yeah. So our first room was the cleansing room, correct? So we get to the bathhouse.
There we go.
The bathhouse, which had some nice murals on the wall that showed all kinds of fun stuff. People getting people, there it is, all the rooms we went through. He's showing us a map now that's included with this when you buy it. So yeah, the bathhouse or cleansing room essentially had a door that was closed that we all decided not to approach, just basically based on one party member's observation of the murals.
Yep.
So I think it was Grunk, actually, that looked at the murals and was all like, something seems wrong about just approaching those doors without taking a bath first.
There's a running thread through this entire mini module where most of the best decisions were all made by Grunk.
Yes. Yeah, no, he was the one that was paying attention the most, I think. Yeah, he made the best decisions.
Good rolls.
Yeah, we all followed him.
Insightful player.
We all followed him into the bath, not really knowing why we should. Just like, it sounds like a good enough thing, so we all got in the bath.
Yeah, he's like, we got to take a bath. And you're like, why do we got to take baths? And he's like, the beholders on the paintings are disintegrating people who aren't taking baths.
Yeah. And I was
I'm taking a bath.
I mean, it makes sense when you say it out loud. So we all took a bath, and when we all got out of the bath, the doors just opened and let us go by.
It was like clean.
Yeah.
I think it actually said like
it actually said clean. That's right. Yeah, it said clean, and then we were able to pass
and
through.
then I was audibly upset that I didn't get to zap any of you.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. Yeah. The next room was a lounge, correct me if I'm wrong.
A little parlor playing some like westerny like lounge music, and this is where your first encounter of this area of the dungeon starts.
Yeah, so this is where we fought the robot beholders for the first time.
Some beholder bots.
Yep, some beholder bots. Wasn't a terribly long combat.
No.
It was pretty quick. The beholder bots, did prove that they could be something to deal with.
Yes.
But we had some lucky rolls and were able to essentially clean out that room pretty quickly.
And part of this is, like I mentioned, with the scalability of this module and in goodwill and of the authors. So with this fight in particular, I believe it reduces the amount of beholder bots in the room and limits the rays they have available to them.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so there are much more powerful rays they have they can use on you if you're a higher level character. And not only does it take character level into account, it takes players, like actual count of how many players there are. So between that and your level, it guides you through on how to set up these encounters.
Yeah.
And this is one of them.
But yeah, the encounter went really well. So we finished that off. We searched the room a little bit, picked up a couple of
levels
things.
1 and 2, at this point you were level 2.
Yeah.
Nothing was brutal.
Nothing was super brutal.
But there were definitely, like, you could get hit by some pretty heavy attacks.
Now, that's not to say that I didn't die in this room, because I did die in this room, albeit after the beholders were already dropped. We encountered our first riddle. So we approached the door, and there was a riddle written on the door. And I thought it was a pretty straightforward riddle. So I answered it pretty well immediately, because I was like, oh, no, I know the answer to this riddle. And I said it and instantly got dropped by a death ray.
Yep.
So it hit me for, I think, 1 hit point over my max hit points. Because remember, I was a wizard, so I didn't have a lot going on for me. So I got dropped almost immediately because I answered it incorrectly. The cleric was able to bring me back up. I was able to back away from the door, and we all examined the riddle further.
I will give you a tease, listeners. I'm not going to give you the answers.
Oh yeah, this is a spoiler cast, but we don't want to spoil everything.
The riddle in question here was, I am perfect in shape and size. I rise each morn upon the skies, a vision in the heavens beyond. Yet children cry if I fall in the pond. What am I?
Yeah.
Sit on that, listener.
Yeah. So I made my answer. I died. We looked at it. Couldn't figure out what the answer actually was. Decided to just pick the lock instead.
And you did.
Yeah.
You did so.
Really good roll. Was able to just pick the lock and move on to the next room.
The next room, of course, being the dance hall. This is the disco floor that we mentioned earlier in the little teaser for it.
Yeah, the terrifying disco hall, which was also covered in murals again, showing all these different death rays of people standing on different color platforms.
Well, in the mural, they were bathed under different color lights, which you associate with the color
the dance
platform.
floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, I don't want that color.
Yeah, and I thought I wanted a specific color. Turns out I'm not really good at reading murals and interpreting what they mean. So yeah, my interpretation of that color, not so great. This room was where Grunk really stepped into his own.
Oh my gosh.
As the disco dancing frog, who basically laid waste to the beholders in the room. Between Grunk and August actually firing the magic spells that we were using to drop them. Between the two of them, the beholders were pretty well wasted. Nobody really got hit with anything massive on the disco floor changes,
unfortunately,
because we had some really good luck rolls on that one. So it could have been worse, but we were able to shut down the disco room with relative ease.
And this is one of those ones where the module, because of your level, actually had me turn off a couple of the colors.
Okay, so that's good. So we didn't even have all the colors.
No, you could have been hit with disintegration rays.
Ugh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I was specifically aiming for colors that were not beneficial to me whatsoever because my misunderstanding of the mural. But lucky for me, I rolled high enough to where it didn't really matter that I was an idiot.
This is another fun part of the module is the disco ball in the room was a magical item that you guys could have taken.
Oh yeah, we totally did.
It's just part of the environment, and I mean, why would you as a player think, oh, I'm gonna take that with? I mean, I asked a couple times, like, oh, is anyone gonna take the disco ball or anything like that? You gonna take any of this in the room? No one wanted to. Hey, I shot my shot.
Yep. No, but we left it behind. Yeah.
Total magic item could have been taken, could have been used.
Yep. And this room had our second riddle. So we had another door riddle that we had to solve before moving on.
Yes, and if you guys want the answers to these, you're going to have to spend $6 on the DM's Guild. Just look up A Tale of Two Fishies. It's worth it. The second riddle. I take in all sights, but I can't see myself. I am dullest in the mole, but keenest in the elf. I am treasured tool, would keep close in bed. Just don't bring me out. or you'll hurt in the head. What am I?
So again, very confident in my knowing of this riddle. I walked straight up to the door and blurted out the first thing that came to my mind. I was right this time.
Ding, 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 ding.
So I didn't get murdered by a death ray this time around.
Which is so funny because this is the one that when I read it, I'm like, what? That's a lot of weird words put in a weird order.
Yeah, I didn't.
The other one, I'm like, oh yeah, that's easy.
I didn't even give the party members a chance to help on this one. I was just like, I know this one. And I yelled it.
Redemption.
Yeah, redemption. I could do this, I promise. And opened the door and ran through into the next room.
Oh, and if you don't mind, just because you'll never get it, the disco ball item, because there's handouts for all these things.
Oh, yeah,
all these
right.
items and things that players might get, like the preview mentioned Wizardry for Dummies. I've got that handout. No one ever got it. No one ever picked it up. But the disco ball, for example, you cut it down, it's just on some rope. This musical object was invented by Tinkerer Gnomes from Kryn. How it found its way to the Forgotten Realms and into the Xanathar's possession is anybody's guess. When a creature within 10 feet of this disco ball speaks the command phrase, "It's party time," the ball emits technicolor lights and plays whatever song that creature is thinking of at the time. The lights and music can be shut off with the command phrase, "Party's over."
Oh,
It's
man.
so fun.
I wish I had taken that.
It's so cool. If you guys had that the rest of the game, like the idea that you're like, all right, we got to sneak into this room.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna slide this down the hallway the other direction. And you just like, there's so much. It's such a good time. I love it.
Yeah, I wish I had taken it.
Now, after that, you guys step into the casino portion of the dungeon.
Yeah, so this was the one full of the slot machines.
Yep.
That were all around the room, and then they had one massive slot machine that we could play.
You can play the little ones too.
Yeah, we can play.
Grunk
Yeah,
lost some coin on the smaller ones.
Yeah, he did lose some coin on the smaller ones while I was inspecting the giant one.
Yeah.
Which I actually had a good roll there and got another handout, which was a full-on, basically encoding process that would tell us how to solve the final slot machine.
Ooh, man, I was worried about this room.
This one, when you first handed it to me, I was so worried because it looked bad. Like, I was like, oh man, we're never going to get this. It's so difficult to understand. And then we started to take a look at it, got a very rudimentary understanding of how it worked. We got a free play because there was already money in the machine.
Mm-hmm.
We used the free play to basically establish our ground rules for the puzzle itself. And then over the course of 2 more plays, we're able to solve the puzzle, which was very lucky on our part luck, part skill, because as a group, we actually tackled this together. So it wasn't even just like a one-person effort. This took all 4 of us working together to actually come up with the answer to this, which I thought was amazing, that it wasn't just one person that solved it, that we all worked together to actually solve it. And we only just had enough money to solve it, essentially.
Oh yeah, down to the last one.
We were down to our very last play because essentially we don't have a lot of money at this point. We had a free play and then we had enough money for 2 plays. So if we didn't get it in those plays, I'm not sure what would have happened to us at that point.
So you could have busted the machine.
Yeah.
So when you guys succeeded, you got a lot of gold.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
If you had busted through it, you would have got no gold, but you would have been able to proceed.
Okay.
Yes, you wouldn't have been stuck.
We did solve it, and we were able to proceed.
Now, you know my favorite part, and this is if you're gonna play this module and you're a player, don't listen. There was a secret code that also would have succeeded.
Oh.
If you would have just ignored the guide, the map, and the hints entirely. If you had put in the code, beholder, 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 you would have won. Because, of course, an image of the Xanathar himself 4 times in a row couldn't be beaten.
At this point, the thought did cross my mind.
Right.
But I figured, no, there's no way.
You have to lean into it.
There's no way.
You have to lean into it, especially in this
Especially
game.
not when we actually have like a real guide in front of us. I was like, no, it can't be that because we actually have a real guide.
Absolutely would have worked.
Which is very interesting.
It's written into the module.
That's amazing.
Yep.
See,
I love it so
little
much.
Touches.
It's the little bits.
The
And
little bits that
that's
you can
why
put
these
in.
authors are so fun.
Yeah. So yeah, we finished that room, which brought us to our last room.
Yep.
Yeah. So this was the actual treasure room that we were in, where we could see the goldfish bowl in the dead center, surrounded by all of the treasures. We could see Xanathar sleeping over in the corner. And all we had to do at this point was get to the goldfish, swap the fish, and get out. So it seemed pretty easy. And actually, we didn't do too bad on this part.
No, it went between your guys' abilities and rolls. It went extremely well, in my opinion.
Yeah, basically, I was able to use my abilities because I was a Spring Eldarin, which means that my phase step could be passed on to someone else. So this was my chance to basically send our monk with a goldfish directly to the goldfish bowl. So there was no sneaking up to it. I could just send him right over. He could swap the fish.
You did have to get creative.
We
because
did
he had
not think
poison
this
skin.
through because me touching him was also bad because I was then poisoned.
So funny.
So pretty much half my hit points gone immediately just from sending him across the room, which I did not anticipate because I forgot that I couldn't touch this frog man, and I did it anyway. So as soon as he gets over there, they then realize that he can't actually touch the fish to get him in the bowl because he'll kill the fish. So I had to mage hand the fish out of the bowl because it was just close enough to get him into the bowl and switch the fish for the other one, to which he promptly ate Xanathar's actual goldfish.
Side note, and I'm saying this because the game's over. This goldfish could have netted you guys like another 500 gold if you had sold it to the tavern owner at the yawning portal, because he would have saw that you had the fish and been like, I'd sure love to have that as a trophy. I'll give you 500 gold for it to have the Xanathar's fish.
Oh, it's gone now.
And Grunk ate that thing.
Ate it instantly.
Immediately.
Yeah, no, I had it in my hand. I had it in the mage hand and I was taking it away, and he stopped everything and he was all like, "Oh, I eat it right out of the mage hand." And I was like, "You what?" You were all like, "You what?" And he was all like, "Oh, I ate it. It's gone. I just ate it."
It's yep.
And we were like, "Okay. Well, I guess that's a thing that's done."
Yep. God, you guys are some of the best players.
Yeah. He had.
I can't keep up sometimes.
He had a bunch of magical items that he could loot. Decided to just take one. He rolled really well on it. Was able to get away with it. He knew you were going to make him keep rolling.
Oh yeah. So no one else went to the table. And the table
he was the only
covered
one.
in magical items. You could tell they're all magical, but you don't really know what they all are. So I hand him a sheet with it's 18 different items or something. It's a ton, and it's brief descriptors of quickly looking over the table what they all are, and based on those descriptors he could tell me which one he would like to take. So since he was the only one there, I passed him this whole sheet, and he's like, "I'll take this one." Well, he grabs it totally successfully. Could have kept going, chose not to, chose to be a little stealthier, which does get you guys farther away from the Xanathar when what happens next happened to you.
Yeah, because what happens next, he jumps from the table over to us, but in the process of all this happening, Xanathar does actually wake up, which takes us into the final branch of our game, and a mini game, so to speak, which
fleeing
was amazing. It was so great, and it was fleeing. So the designers had written up this whole part of the module, which was now a trip from where we were in this room all the way back to the beginning, basically no longer in a real combat situation, no longer out of combat, but more or less rolling for initiative, but then deciding how we were going to do our turns. If we were going to just keep flat out running away, whether or not we were going to turn around and just fight Xanathar, which was not a great idea, or while we would run away, turn around and just throw attacks or magic at him. To try and slow him down a little bit. And basically try and escape a palace that was being lasered down around us as he chased us, yelling at us, proclaiming his greatness and how he was going to kill us the entire time. So it was very fun. It was a well-designed little mini-game, essentially, which ended with both Grunk and Cho basically hightailing it. I think Grunk never stopped running.
Grunk never stops, never stopping.
No.
And just... is
as monk as a monk could be.
Of the wind.
Yeah.
Just gone.
Yeah, outran all of us flat out. Cho,
never a bad roll.
Yep, never a bad roll. Cho, right on his tail, also failed very little, was running like a champ, August, unfortunately, fell behind
Yep.
multiple times. And if you fall behind enough, you get turned to stone, which is really unfortunate. So August didn't make it, got turned to stone. I was next up. I can't leave a party member behind. So I decided to risk it for the biscuit.
Yep.
And go
Full
back.
confidence.
Full of confidence. I was all like, you know what? I'm just going to pick up August, and we're going to run together. I'm going to take the disadvantage on my rolls, but we're going to get out as a team. And I made it back, picked August up, fireman's carry over the back, instantly failed the next roll.
Very first roll.
Very first roll. Failed it incredibly hardcore. Like it wasn't even a close roll.
No.
It was bad. I think I rolled a 4.
And this was roll 1 of disadvantage.
Roll 1 with disadvantage.
Could just get worse from here.
I had utter confidence in this plan. Like I thought we were really going to get out because, it wasn't that many extra rolls. We were already...
No, you only had a couple
Yeah,
rolls.
we only had a couple left. And I was like, no, odds are really good. Like I'm gonna...
All I have to get is a 10.
This. Yeah, all I got to get is a 10. I can do that on disadvantage a couple times. No problem. Instantly failed. Also now a statue. So now there's just a statue of carrying another statue. And he continues to chase Cho and Grunk up to the exit, to which they are now faced with another riddle.
Yep.
To get
out.
Of
course. Which, of course, I believe is you that made the joke, like, there's going to be another riddle when you get up there.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to get out because we're now statues. You're going to have to solve this riddle on your own. And they get up there, another riddle, which they do solve.
Well, they don't. This is the one. No. So this riddle is my favorite part of this entire module is a dungeon master.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
because
now I
the
remember.
riddle takes like 2.5 minutes IRL to read, and it's just going about the Xanathar's greatness. And the very end of it is like, I've probably caught up to you by now.
Yeah.
But I will, because I'm benevolent, will give you this last chance to solve this riddle and blah, blah, blah. Who am I? And our work associate was like Xanathar, and then our other friend was like Xandar or some bull. And of course, it's written into the module that if the players say the Xanathar, the door opens, and then some things commence, and the Xanathar is like, haha, they're not so bad after all. I'll let you live. I'll whatever. But if they say Xanathar without the Xanathar, then he goes on a tirade of like, no, you idiots, it's the Xanathar. And the doors open. Then he's like, no. And he starts blasting things, and it crumbles around him. And it's so good. It's so funny. Because they get to escape.
Yeah, they get to escape. Yeah, it was so well written. I loved it. It was great. It was a really great cap to the end of the story, essentially.
Well,
at which I thought that my character and the other character, August, were essentially now just fancy coat racks in Xanathar's palace. So I thought we were going to be, new accoutrements in the lounge, to which I found out that wasn't the end of our story. So we ended up waking up on the docks with fancy new Xanathar tats.
Yeah, neat.
That seems suspicious.
No, those won't come back.
They seem very suspicious.
They're just free tattoos.
So yeah, I had resigned to the fact that, both me and August had resigned to the fact that, yep, we were done for. We were rolling some new characters for Dragon Heist, but we were pleasantly surprised to find out that we are not only alive, but like I said, have some sick new tats.
Right.
And
only improvements.
2 suspicious party members that don't like our tattoos.
Weird.
Who don't know if they can trust us. So we grew so close together and now have been pushed so far apart.
It's funny though, the 2 that escaped
versus 2
are closer, and the 2 that stayed behind are closer.
Yeah.
So
it works.
Interesting dynamic.
It's poetic in the end. Yeah. But so we now have a setup for when we do actually play Dragon Heist.
Yep.
Which we are now at level 3. Yep. So this means that we get to get our cool new subclasses. So my wizard isn't just a regular old wizard. I'm now a blade singer, which is super cool. And now we get to go into this new module when we do play it as a group that has a reason to be together.
Yeah.
Right. So we have something to go on.
A lot in such a short amount of time.
Yes.
And the Harpers have paid for you to stay at the yawning portal for an extended amount of time while you're kind of laying low, which, believe it or not, set you right up into the beginning of Dragon Heist, because that module starts you off in the Yawning Portal, and this is already giving you a reason to actually be there.
Yeah.
So you'll start off a little strong, but we'll quickly get to, an appropriate, portion in the story where level 3 makes sense.
Yeah, where it makes sense
So
and everything works out.
I love it.
No, I think it was really good. I think that the price of this module was astounding for what you get. Because, I mean, you showed me some of the materials after the fact, and we've talked about it, obviously, and everything like that. And the value of what we did and what we played for what you paid is amazing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
They deserve more than $6
yeah,
for
no,
that content.
It's great. And that just goes to show you the kind of content that's available to you on DM's Guild. So yeah, if you're looking for something to play, something that you just want to have a fun afternoon with, or something that you want to use to expand on a module that you're currently playing, or even give yourself an opener or something in the middle to break up the module that you're currently playing, strongly suggest that you take a look at DM's Guild and see what they have to offer.
Yeah, you'll definitely find something there within your budget, no matter what the budget is.
Yeah.
And I couldn't recommend it enough. It's wonderful. Just this community that we work for, that we love, that it's so much positivity in it. And you can really tell that just reading through the reviews on some of these supplemental, bits that people have put out. And whether they've put it out for fun or whether they've put it out because they have a genuine passion to create. Either way, we appreciate you. And thank you, authors and artists, for doing what you do.
Yeah.
But for now, I've been Tyler.
And I've been Richard.
And we've been True Strike. Hey, adventurers. Thanks again for joining us today. Please be sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcasting platforms and YouTube. If there's any questions you'd like to write into the show, you can hit us up on Threads or Instagram. New episodes release every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for listening to True Strike.